Have you ever felt like you have to be perfect, to be strong all the time, to hide your mistakes and fears to get ahead? What if I told you that it's the exact opposite of what you need to do to achieve true, lasting success? It sounds crazy, right? But today, we're going to dive into why your success actually depends on your willingness to be vulnerable. This isn't about weakness. It's about unlocking your greatest strength. Let's start with fact number 1. Vulnerability builds trust. Think about it. When someone opens up to you, shares a struggle, or admits they don't have all the answers, how do you feel? You feel closer to them. You trust them more. In business, leadership, and even in your personal life, trust is the currency of all relationships. When you lead a team and admit, "Hey, I'm not sure about this. What do you all think?" You're not showing weakness. You're showing that you value their input, which makes them more invested and more willing to follow you. A leader who pretends to be perfect creates a culture of fear where nobody wants to admit a mistake. A vulnerable leader creates a culture of trust and collaboration. Fact 2. It fuels innovation and creativity. Some of the greatest inventions and artistic creations came from a place of uncertainty. When you're vulnerable, you're open to new ideas. You're willing to say, "This might not work, but let's try it anyway." Think about J.K. Rowling. She faced countless rejections for Harry Potter. She was in a vulnerable position, but she kept putting her work out there, open to judgment. If she had been too afraid of failure to be vulnerable, a whole generation would have missed out on Hogwarts. Creativity requires taking risks, and risk is the very essence of vulnerability. Fact number 3. Vulnerability accelerates learning and growth. How can you learn if you're not willing to admit you don't know something? When you pretend you have it all figured out, you shut yourself off from feedback and new information. The fastest learners are the ones who aren't afraid to ask questions, even the dumb ones. They're the ones who say, "I messed up. Can you show me how to do it right?" This is vulnerability in action. I remember early in my career, I completely botched a presentation. It was humiliating. I could have blamed the tech or the audience, but instead, I went to my manager and said, "I really failed on that one. What can I do to get better?" That single moment of vulnerability led to some of the best coaching I've ever received and fundamentally changed how I approach public speaking. Number 4, it deepens human connection. We are social creatures. We crave authentic connection, not perfection. Brené Brown, a researcher who has spent decades studying this, says that vulnerability is the birthplace of connection and belonging. When you share your true self, flaws and all, you give other people permission to do the same. This creates incredibly strong bonds. Think about your closest friends. Are they the people who have a perfect life, or are they the ones you've shared your real struggles with? These deep connections are a huge part of a successful, fulfilling life. They're your support system when things get tough. Fact 5. Vulnerability increases your resilience. This one seems like a paradox, doesn't it? But resilient people aren't the ones who never get knocked down. They're the ones who get back up. And a big part of that is being able to ask for help. When you're vulnerable enough to say, "I'm struggling, I need support," you tap into the strength of your community. Trying to handle every crisis alone is a recipe for burnout. True strength is knowing when you can't do it by yourself. It's like a tree in a storm. A rigid tree will snap, but a tree that can bend, that is vulnerable to the wind, will survive. All right, halfway through. Fact number 6. It attracts opportunities. People want to work with real, authentic human beings. When you're open about your journey, including the bumps in the road, you become more relatable. People are more likely to think of you for a new project, a partnership, or a job opening because they feel like they know you and can trust you. Your story, your whole story, becomes your unique brand. I've seen entrepreneurs land huge investments not by showing a perfect business plan, but by honestly sharing the challenges they've faced and how they've overcome them. That vulnerability showed their grit and passion, far more than a perfect spreadsheet ever could. Number 7. It fosters a culture of feedback. In any successful organization or team, feedback is essential for growth, but giving and receiving honest feedback requires a massive amount of vulnerability. You have to be vulnerable to say something difficult to a colleague, and you have to be even more vulnerable to hear it without getting defensive. When a leader creates an environment where it's safe to be vulnerable, people start offering constructive criticism because they know it's about making things better, not about personal attacks. This is how good teams become great teams. Fact 8. It allows you to heal and move forward. We all carry baggage from past failures or hurts. Pretending they don't exist doesn't make them go away. It just lets them fester. True success isn't just about achieving goals. It's about being whole and healthy. Vulnerability is the act of looking at those wounds and saying, "This happened, and it was hard." It's about seeking therapy, talking to a trusted friend, or simply acknowledging your own pain. That's the first step toward healing, which frees up so much mental and emotional energy that you can then channel into your goals. If you're struggling, please know that seeking help is a sign of immense strength, not weakness. Fact 9. Vulnerability defeats shame. Shame is that voice in your head that says, "I'm not good enough." It thrives in secrecy and silence. The antidote to shame is vulnerability. When you speak your shame, when you tell someone, "I feel like a failure because of this," it loses its power over you. You realize you're not alone, that everyone has these feelings. Overcoming the shame of imperfection is crucial for taking the risks necessary for success. You can't start a business, apply for a promotion, or create art if you're paralyzed by the fear of not being good enough. And finally, fact number 10. Vulnerability is the core of courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Every single brave act in human history involved vulnerability. It's the courage to stand up for what's right, the courage to start a new venture, the courage to love someone, the courage to say, "I'm sorry." You cannot be courageous without being vulnerable. They are two sides of the same coin. And success, in any meaningful form, requires courage. So, we've gone through the 10 facts. But what do you do with this information? Here are some clear, actionable steps you can start taking today. First, start small. You don't have to share your deepest secrets with the world. Try admitting a small mistake at work, or telling a friend you're feeling a bit overwhelmed. See how it feels. Second, practice active listening when others are vulnerable with you. When someone opens up, don't try to fix it. Just listen. Say, "Thank you for sharing that with me," or "That sounds really hard." Creating a safe space for others will make it easier for you to be vulnerable in return. Third, reframe your thinking. The next time you feel that fear of being exposed, tell yourself, "This isn't weakness. This is courage. This is how I grow." Change the narrative in your head. And finally, identify your arena. Who are the people you can trust? Who has earned the right to hear your story? You don't have to be vulnerable with everyone. Share with the people who have your back. True success isn't a polished facade. It's a messy, beautiful, human journey. It's about connection, growth, and courage. And all of that begins the moment you decide to let your guard down and be seen for who you truly are. It's the most terrifying and the most rewarding thing you will ever do. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments which of these facts surprised you the most. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content on building a truly successful and fulfilling life. See you next time.